Me. Whoa. Just chill out for a second. We gotta let the time pass before YouTube catches on. I mean, not catches on, but YouTube cuts off the first part. So I let the water in the freezer in a little bit too long. Let's see. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. Today we're talking about Detroit, New York. I thought the taxes were an endless stream, overpaid and overcurled the whole. Hi, good morning, guys. How y'all doing? How y'all are? Who? Jeez. Who? Something is killing my voice. Hooey. Oh, I can't hit the note. What's going on here? Detroit. Let's talk about Detroit, ladies and gentlemen. How did a major city have to declare bankruptcy? It's the common phrase. Don't at me about bankruptcy. Okay, so let's go through my little scripts. Detroit. Back in the 50s, Detroit was hailed as a city of the future. The president at the time named it as the shining example of what every city should be. And the federal government, along with the state government, poured in a lot of money into it to make it a very futuristic city. I broke my nail. Futuristic city. It had a booming manufacturing sector. This is where the middle class exploded. So that whole middle class thing is a new thing. And the United States was the biggest one that ushered in the middle class sector. If you don't know, the way that life basically was before was that you always had some guy sitting at the top of a big mountain of money, and then the rest of us were all serfs or peasant. What's the difference between a serf and a peasant? A serf is owned by the king. The peasant was a free person, but the free person had to do whatever they could to survive. Let's continue. So, with the United States, after the whole Industrial Revolution, people, let's say peasants came forward with the idea that you could build a business to sell stuff to people who needed stuff for whatever, and you could sell stuff to the rich, the most, of course, on a grand scale. And this is where your luxury items came in, and then the luxury stuff Somebody figured out the luxury stuff is something that people, regular peasants and other serfs, wanted. So, well, okay, if we just lower the cost of making the luxury item and turn it into everyday items, we could sell 1 billion of them, right? Okay, hold on, people. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Okay. The city was mostly white at the time in 1950s, but there was a robust black middle class there too. Give me a like for the live stream here. The mayors switched from Republican to Democrat. The white elites started moving out of the city into the new thing called suburbs. Urban meaning city, suburbs meaning next to the city, right? Which which was the thing to do. Then the taxes came in. With the Democrats came the taxes. We're talking way back in the 50s they started taxing the devil out of the population. The unions turned from helping create a middle class, which was one of their claims to fame, that the unions had turned blue-collar people who weren't paid much of anything into the middle class because they demanded uh, pay that reflected hard manual labor, which was mostly what they did, right? And they turned from helping a middle class from blue collar workers to literally bankrupting companies. So the unions started demanding more and more and more and more. And every time they went to negotiation, they demanded more and more and more and more and more. And for the most part, it was skilled or learned labor. So it wasn't like you could just really go, I could get 1 million applicants. You know, it wasn't a McDonald's. So it's not that they had a monopoly over it. It's just that living wages, right? It wasn't that they had a monopoly over it. They had them over a barrel. It's simply that the supply of skilled car people, manufacturing, car laborers just wasn't there. They had to train those people. You don't just pop up and say, "Hey, here's." Come on. There we go. The white middle class started moving to the suburbs too. The city over decades turned from white to black. That's a point for a lot of people, but for me it's not, because I'm going to get to the next stage of that. Now, the only difference between white and black was that there was a very large wealth gap between white and black. Uh, it's not that blacks couldn't make wealth. It's just that there was a ton of black people who did menial labor or blue collar work, so that the gap between white and black was there simply because of the work that black and white people did. And the unions, I don't know if you know that, kept black people out of them. Oh, all right. Almost overnight, entire blocks. I'm sorry. Then the final blow happened. Blacks started moving out of the city. Almost overnight, entire blocks of blacks moved away. From rich to poor, blacks moved out if they could afford it. This is when the bottom fell out of the tax base. You know, I said that the Democrats came in and they increased taxes, increased taxes, increased taxes. Well, you can't tax people who aren't in your city. You can't tax empty lots. You can't tax abandoned homes. The response of the mayor and the city council: raise taxes to the highest in the nation. Highest property tax. Highest taxes on goods and services. The last of the black elites, the black middle class, and most of the cash-ready underclass, those are the people who work and live paycheck to paycheck. But the ones who didn't live paycheck to paycheck, mostly, who actually saved their money, they all got up and left. Who did you have left there? People who were heavily invested in the city that they could not take and move and carry with them to Texas or Georgia or Nevada or wherever they were going. I don't know what direction they went into. They all moved out. All of them moved. So then you had just the people who aren't cash ready or cash ready. You still had some manufacturing there in the city, but it was very low. I saw one statement that one of the union workers said that they switched his manufacturing company and removed thousands of people, automated it for the rest of it. That means robot, right? Automated it, and so that 3 people can run a whole manufacturing floor. 3. Okay, so you have that. By the time they claimed bankruptcy in Detroit, 60 years of unbroken democratic control of Detroit had passed. No city services are adequately funded. That's your police. That's your firefighters. That's your ambulances. That's your buses. That's everything. That's your trash people. That's everything. And so crime, disease, unemployment, education, public transportation are all in a dire situation. So then the question is, what happened? Now I gave you the history. So what happened? What do you think happened? And now I'll go to the chats. The chats. I'll go to the chats. Hold on. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Giselle, Terry Jackson, Brock Kane, Elaine Polcher, Michael Kelch. Okay, I said that. Nora C. Cole Cottondale. Really? Spelled with a K. Mr. H. Nomics. Okay, let's see what y'all got to say. Good morning. How are you doing? Good morning. From Motown here, good to have this category. One word, Kwame. You think Kwame? Actually, somebody did a little survey, and they said except for one mayor, all of the mayors were indicted, brought up on charges. Some went to jail. Some had ethics investigations brought upon them. So yes, I mean it's not Kwame, but it's all of them. Allocation of free money is no oversight because there was unemployment. There's a lot of Kwames. Living wages is a muscle men takeover a problem, perhaps? I was not aware of that until I started researching this topic, and apparently, not only do you have roving packs of wild dogs from people who had left their dogs when they upped and left, to such a degree that you had dogs not being taken care of, to the point that you had muscle men running around saying, you better pray to the gym. This is all, of course. You know what I'm doing, right? You know I can't say the real word of musclemen. Uh, so this is all code word, code speak. Okay, you all got it. Yes, abandoned pets turned wild, and because the city went around destroying homes, then you had whole blocks of bare land. What happens when bare land is left to grow unchecked by itself? The plants take over, and then plants take over, and that builds a structure for an environment. What do you call it? An ecosystem for wild animals, for insects, and whoever eats the insects, and what the next thing comes, and the next thing comes, and then you have wolves. You have what is it? Cougars. You have otters. You have who builds the dam? The beavers. You have stuff that has not been seen in Detroit for centuries show up. Why? Because now the entire area has gone back to the wild. So the wild dogs are actually the least of the worry of the population there. You have wildlife showing up. And you have stuff that eats dogs showing up. I'm not trying. No, it's not Harry. Cougars, wolves, yes. You have stuff showing, and this means humans who are not equipped. A city dweller of Detroit is not equipped to handle a pack of wolves. The wild dogs is not enough. A pack of wolves show up, and it's in your lunch. I don't know why I'm laughing, but probably because I'm insane. That's a hard name to pronounce? Oh, I don't know. It's coming into a technological city slowly but surely. Well, I don't know about that. They felt, the city council felt that it was more important to have a arena, stadium or something, and to of course charge the city with the tax input of that sort of. So they can't fund the police department. They can't fund the fire department. They can't fund the emergency vehicles. They can't fund animal pickup. They can't fund your local school. They shut down, what is it, 30 schools or something like that. But they can fund a stadium. Thank you, Elaine. It is still under Democratic control. Do you really think it's going to go somewhere? And it went into receivership, bankruptcy. Then they were saying you can't do and under your dear President Obama, he said, no, the priority is to the unions, and the union said we're not gonna allow you to do anything to our contracts, which means that all of those retirement funds and all of that sort of stuff, they couldn't touch that. Let me point out that you have a city with a huge underclass. That's the general term for poor or working poor or lower middle class. All of those are the underclass, right? It's just incremental parts of how wealthy you're not, on a sliding scale. You could have your electricity shut off one day. That's the underclass, right? I'm now part of the underclass. By new people. Dr. Claude Anderson went to Detroit, and he made proposals, and he was going to set up, and then he was going to bring investors and blah blah blah, and they said no. He said, "Do y'all have set-asides for minority set-asides?" Yes. So all the Mexican. He was like, "Wait, what? What?" Your city council is black. Your city is black. Black people in the United States are minority. What are you trying to set aside minority and then talk about anybody but black people? But that's Democrats. I mean, that's I don't know. Now I looked into that. Somebody came onto our group and said, "Hey people, hey people, hey people, you can buy dollar houses in Detroit." Well, all of the real estate investors, please thumbs up the video for the live stream to help me. I mean, it seems like this is probably the biggest crowd I've had at one point in a live stream ever, actually. What was that? Okay, so all of the real estate investors, who I was part of that group too, started looking at it. They looked into it. Now, we determined that the only people who could really take advantage of this were investors who actually lived in Detroit. Why do you think that is? Any question? Any answers? Why do you think an investor would turn away a $1 property? I mean, if you're a real estate investor, you would think a $1 property would be like, free gold, right? City council black, they aren't controlling it. No, because it's too dangerous, unlovable junk. Right. So you're hinting at it. So here's the deal. So you could buy the home for $1, but the city required you to pay the back taxes on the property, right? Which could mean $200,000, right? So the $1 property was a lie. And once you started making improvements on the $1 property, the city would then tax you at the complete rate, the premium rate, and Detroit, Michigan has the highest property tax in the entire country. There's nothing higher in the United States. So then you would start having to pay taxes on a property that's probably completely not improved at all, but they want those taxes. They want those taxes. So the investors said this is not at all a deal. Investors want to buy low, sell high. Investors, when we say buy low, we mean everything's low. That it's a deal, that you're not going to be here in Nevada. You can buy a property. You can start making improvements. You can do everything. And as long as you do not keep it for 30 days, you can pay zero down, have zero costs, and sell it. And the person who buys it will pay all of the expenses of the improvements. So for 30 days, you can get a free lunch. Now, of course, your crew has to be so fast, and you have to turn around that property in 30 days that you get the free lunch. But the whole idea is that you get a free lunch. Detroit said from the very beginning, no. We want the back taxes, and we're going to start charging you all of the taxes on the property immediately. Which is unfair, which means that they don't want people to come in. That's all it really means. We are the harvest. we are the chef. So the $1 deal wasn't a $1 deal. It sounded like more of a free lunch than anywhere else in the country, but actually it wasn't. There's a much better deal, like I said, here in Nevada. You can flip a house. and in 28 days and have zero expenses on to you and then sell it for a premium market value. And market value could be 250,000, depending on the house. It could be up to $1 million. The legality on those taxes can be contested. Well, you would have to have a federal court that can try and enforce your lawsuit against a sovereign city. Okay, so then we have the like the person said, we have the muscle man problem, where apparently the muscle men roam around like packs of dogs and say you can't be immodest. You got to wear a hijab or something like that. What I don't know what they do, but I was told literally that they walk around saying you got to do this and that and the other. But I thought they were in Dearborn, Michigan. I didn't know they were in Detroit. And they have the Muscle Man Call song that plays at like, what is it, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the people there who are not muscle men have to just grin and bear it. They've tried to say, we're not muscle men. Why do we need to hear this at 6 o'clock in the morning? I'm trying to sleep to go to work. And they say, well, the Constitution protects the muscle man's right to have the muscle man song play at 6 o'clock in the morning. What about my right to stay asleep? Library closing too. Okay, so I think, let me have a show of hands. Type 1 if you think the problem was Democrats. Democrats, Democratic taxes, welfare state, too many people on welfare state, and that's food stamps. I don't think food stamps are all that big of a deal. Do you know why I don't think food stamps are that big of a deal? And the country could be on foods, everybody, up to if you made $50,000, because a lot of the food industry actually stuff like here's the farm bureau. Here's what happens. They're playing dirty pool. All things being equal, if you're able to make a profit on something, the government should not stop you from making a profit. Where am I going with this? Did Shakaama all of a sudden switch from libertarian to Democrat? No. I'm gonna show you. The Farm Bureau tells a man, your entire harvest of cherries, I want you to dump them. We got to keep the price of cherries up. So the farmer has to dump all 1 million bushels of cherries on the ground, and they say you have to let them rot. Not a single cherry can go to the market. They do that for milk. They do that for cucumbers. They do that for cabbage. They do that for peanuts. They do that for molasses. They do that over and over and over. We got to keep the prices up. Why do we have to keep the prices up? Can somebody tell me that? Why does the price of cherries coming down hurt? Who does that hurt? Please tell me. Because the farmer apparently is hurting. Because they said, if you don't dump your cherries, you're going to be thrown in federal prison. So if they're inflating the price of cherries, cabbage, bananas, avocados. Did you know that they grow avocados in the United States? Were you one of the people under the impression that avocados came from Mexico or South America only? We grow avocados in the United States. What do you think they do to the price of avocados? They inflate it. No, according to the farmer, it was just a threat. There was no pay in it. He just had to dump his. Same thing with the milk. You have to dump the milk. He doesn't get paid. Under, according to my research, according to my information, it's a no-win situation. There's nothing winning about it. So now, Shakaama says there's nothing wrong with food stamps because they're playing dirty pool on you to begin with. If cherries are $2 a bag and they should be 60 cents a bag, and you at maximum can get $200 in food stamps for you personally, for each person, that $200 that they're getting for the person from the government is the tax or the inflation of the food that they created to begin with. You understand? So if all of your stuff should have been 60 cents here, $1.50 here, 30 cents here, $2 here, and your grocery bill would have been $25 had the government not set in instead of $200. How many of you pay $200 when you go grocery shopping? The first time I did that, I almost fell out. I was like, what is going on? I don't pay $200 for or $100 for grocery. That's crazy. And I know that I'm not going to get that $200 back. That's crazy. Cherry, they can make wine. Well, they can make wine, but the people who are going to buy cherries to make wine are paying wholesale prices to begin with. They're not paying retail prices. So I'm talking about retail. I probably should not have eaten the salad, the nice spinach salad. Yes, please thumbs up the broadcast today. So the government is playing dirty pool. They're fleecing the entire United States and saying that that's a good deal. We got to keep the prices up to keep the economy going. How many more people would buy cherries if they cost 60 cents? How many more people would buy bananas if they cost 35 cents a pound or 25 cents a pound? How many more people would buy and they did a documentary on this. They followed a Mexican couple with 2 kids, and they went to McDonald's. Why did they go to McDonald's? They said, we can't eat healthy. Of course, they're all little chunky. We can't even the kids were a little chunky. We can't eat healthy because the healthy food, it's $5 for a salad if it's already a pre-made salad. McDonald's has a $1 menu. We can feed ourselves off of that all day long. For $4, I can feed the entire family. We drink water, well, I can feed the entire family. $4. $4 for a prepared salad. Tell me there's not something wrong. So 2 liters of soda, 99 cents. 2 liters of soda. So I want you and your brain and your mind to I want you to separate food stamps from everything else. Everything else is unfunded, and an actual food stamp comes under, guess what department? The farm department, the FDA. So food stamps comes from the people who are telling farmers to dump their stuff to keep the prices of potatoes up, to keep the prices of corn up. or down, whichever way they're whatever they're. And the water, you buy water? Yeah, the agricultural department does the food stamps and tells the farmers to dump their stuff. Now, of course, we are paying that in taxes, but under food stamps, that is spread out. It is socialized, but they're playing dirty pool in that whole deal. So that I'm saying, I said, if you make $50,000 and under, you should be able to get food stamps. If I was president, and I could not tell that agency, I could not disband that agency, which is probably what the president cannot do now. You all keep thinking the president has all this power. I believe the president cannot disband these things. He would have a hard fight. He would have to have political clout that is so unreasonable that we wouldn't want him as president. If he could literally run roughshod over these agencies and just shut them down, this is why Ron Paul could never make it as president. So because they would have gone through and start shutting down agencies, and those people wouldn't have that, right? What about the contractors to the guys, the contracts of the food box together? The price of beef has dropped a lot this month. If you like make a new stew, now is the time. Oh, if that's the case, then I was looking at canning stuff so you could can food. 40 people. Why do I have 40 people? Why do I have 40 people? Please like the live stream. Yeah, watched canned meat. You can can meat. I didn't know you could can meat. I didn't know. I don't know what it tastes like. Food boxes? Okay, I'm not familiar with food boxes. Please explain to me. Mademoiselle. I'm only going to go an hour, so we're at 37 minutes right now. I want to have this live stream so this broadcast available and short enough that people could look at it. I appreciate everybody coming. You need a pressure cooker? Yeah. So before I was completely everything stolen from me. But this is why I moved into here. Maybe you all don't know that story. I had a flamethrower put. I mean, people just they want drama, so they pull out a flamethrower on me, and two people attack me. Well, I don't know if you all can tell, but I'm kind of a big guy. I got some muscles here. So I kind of beat them up by myself, and my friend was standing there, didn't help me. You have to look it up, but approve cutting the food stamps program and giving people food boxes until those boxes started maybe about 23 months ago. Oh, really? That sounds good. I mean, does it comes with all the staples? Here's the problem. The USDA hands out food staples, but they only do it once a month. So it's your eggs, it's your bacon, it's milk. So I've never drank low-fat milk, and so then I went to one of those places and they gave me low-fat milk. So I kept like taking sips of it, and I was like, what is this milk? Is 2% milk? It tastes like chalk. I don't know what it is. What's in it? The beta phase of fiscal year 2019. Yeah, I don't know what 2% milk is. So I had never, for the people who are all gung-ho about low-fat stuff, for somebody who's never really drank low-fat milk to then experience low-fat milk, I don't know how you all can do. I don't think you understand what you're putting your body through. I don't think there's any nutrition in it. It tastes like chalk. It's gross. You know what's better? Yeah. You know what's better? Powdered milk. Powdered milk still has all the fat in it, and it's cheaper than the other milk because it's almost, they can make it out of from the byproducts of milk. So that's the byproduct of cream, the byproduct of butter, the byproduct. So you have all of the nutrients still in it. It's not as great as raw milk, which is the best, but powdered milk is good. You need fat. Please stop listening to these people who are telling you that fat is bad. Your brain is made out of fat. Your brain, your actual the thing inside there is made out of fat. So anyway, back to Detroit. Okay, so I said press 1 if you think the Democrats are to blame. Press Scathy. Hey, Shakaama. Hi, how are you doing? Let's see. Press Flux Core. How you doing? Let's see here. Oh. Brock Kane pressed 1 the whole time. Okay. I don't know. Press 2 if you blame the Republicans. I don't think they have anything to do with it. But press 2 if you blame the Republicans. Press 3 if you blame, I don't know who you could blame. If you blame, I don't know. It's taxes, but the taxes come from the Democrats. You can't separate the two. So it's taxes. All right, now let's talk about the underclass of Detroit. That's all the poor people. That's all the hood people. During the war, the WAR, I can't say. We're talking about the big war, the big WAR. They studied how people would react if they were sort of treated like rats in a box. And they studied that, and they studied that, and they studied that. And they discovered that when you put people sort of like rats in a box, they become poorer, they become more violent, they become uneducated, especially if the educational system is controlled by you also, and you are telling the people in the box exactly what you want them to know, and there's no actual instruction on how to think logically. There's no instruction how to think critically. There's no instruction how to have an imagination. There's no instruction on how to be creative. If you control the educational system to completely erase all of that stuff, you end up with the underclass in all of the major cities. That's how you do it. So this is what they did during the right. Number 3. Who is that? Scathy. Number 3, yes. So Detroit and other cities around the country are a prime example. You know why California doesn't have this to a bigger degree? Because I think it's like 5 cities have already declared bankruptcy in California. The richest, I think it's the richest state, or is Texas the richest state? It's between Texas, California, and New York. Usage of funds and taxes and tax rates. Right. Well, it's the educational system. It's the news. There is no program that says, here's how to think critically. Here's how to think and go outside the box and be imaginative, be creative. They took music out of schools. They took arts, the art stuff out of school. Here, at least here they did. They told me, the kid told me, teenager that used to come over the house and play video games with my roommate. I did not agree to that. I was like, I know he's 15. I know he's a big guy, a big boy, and he's 6 foot tall, but he's still 15. You shouldn't. You should not encourage a 15-year-old to come up in a house of a bunch of 20-plus-year-old men. I don't care what kind of video game you play. Anyway, he told me that they had taken history, they took PE, they took any arts and crafts, all out of school. There's no recess. What? What was Michelle Obama going on if they were taking recess out of schools? What was she talking about? You got to eat healthy and exercise. You got to make sure you got to get out there, and then she's dancing all over the place with her old lady. I'm being funny. Please please thumbs up the broadcast. Yeah. Well, you can vote for your local stuff. Your local stuff isn't controlled as much. They have said that controlling the or running for office has gotten out of hand when you're spending $100 million for something that pays $20,000 or something ridiculous. What is it, like $50,000 a year? Unless you have one of those city councils that raises their salaries to $150,000 a year, where the median income of their city is $35,000 a year. That's crazy. Largest economy in the world. Russia has equal to Norway. Local is your focus. Okay. Gator rebuttal has to be empty by now. It's actually ice. Can you see the ice? Can you see it? It's water. Then you take oh. Did Hungary do that? Well, hooray for Hungary. I mean, some of these places, they just have the right idea. They should separate them too. This is a liberal arts college. This is where you learn your female, what is it? Woman study, African American study, such and so studies, which do nothing. This is where we teach English. So you go to that college to learn all of that stuff. Then the regular universities, they teach you the STEM, engineering school. This is the engineering school. This is the science school. And we were getting there. And now the women activists are, I don't know how they have power. It doesn't make sense. The women activists have said that is sexist to have a school of math. It's sexist to have a school of science. It's sexist to have a school of technology. It's sexist to have a school of engineering. I don't know how it's sexist to have a school of engineering. Can somebody point me to where that's a thing? And of course, I'm not stupid. I know exactly what they're saying. Did what's his name want to open up his little black boy school in Detroit? What's his name? Dr. Umar Johnson. Was that supposed to be in Detroit? Where was he? I don't know where he was trying to. I was trying to open up a school myself. That's one of my projects, but I dissuaded myself of that because I was called some names and got no support, and people said, why does it have to be an all black boy school? Why can't it be an all black? Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but black girls, black women in education is like dominating, like 70%. They get 70% of all the degrees, the 70% of all the graduation, 7% of the masters, and 70% of the doctorates are black women. If we want to break it down, Please thumbs up the video. Please thumbs up the broadcast. I'm from Detroit, and it's good old government corruption. The unions are corrupted. The city land bank is taking homes and selling them, or selling homes and demolishing them. It's crazy. Yeah, the demolishing thing I thought was crazy. And they said, well, there's people squatting in the homes, so we have to demolish the homes. They create an unsafe environment. That is some round logic. You know, you're going this way, to get to reach to this point, which is the same point. The homes are abandoned because you made them abandoned. But you don't want to retract your policy that has property taxes as the highest in the nation to make people move away, highest business taxes, highest sales taxes, and you don't fund police. Police don't show up for an hour. Ambulance don't show up for an hour. Fire trucks don't show up for an hour. I don't know about fire trucks. I think fire trucks are like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that. Fire trucks a little bit better. And if possible, they could have open up more fire stations and have volunteers in the fire stations, but I don't know what kind of about the public school system in California is that many people just don't understand their children attending school and never progressing past the 3rd grade are stripped, gutted, ripped, and down. That's what they. Okay, so sorry, I got distracted. What was I even talking about? Detroit. Umar Johnson, little black boy. Nobody questioned him, but I guess he had established exactly who he needs to talk to, who he wants to talk to. I wanted a classical school. I don't know if you understand what that word means. A classical school was you had a set of books, and those books are the only thing that you studied from grade K through 12. Now, you might ask, how could you study a book K through 12? The books are hard. To read the book, you had to first learn Latin. They were called Latin schools back in the day. But they taught you everything. They taught you how to think. They taught you how to reason. They taught you logic. They taught you philosophy, which included behavioral patterns of humans. I was watching one of these people do a Detroit drive-through. So there's a YouTuber. I don't know if he's a YouTuber, but a YouTuber who has a channel, and he drives through Detroit. And he'll drive through, well, I'm assuming he'll drive through Detroit for like something like 20 hours. So he'll start in the day, and he'll show you all of the completely barren and abandoned buildings, barren and abandoned businesses, barren and abandoned neighborhoods with one house per block, per city block, overgrown brush everywhere. Then night falls, and he'll go and drive through the hood. I have no idea how he's not stopped and ganked and whatever, because he goes right through the hood, and he does it all the time. I'm assuming that he must be somebody that people look at and go, oh, no, we're not going to bother with that. He must be some huge guy or something, or he has like a machine gun sitting in his windows or something. But he drives through Detroit at night in the hood, and and now I have a degree in pre-law political science, right? A major part of that is psychology, a major part. Humans, this is why I keep yelling at women. Humans are a communal animal. We have to be close to other humans. we have to have the company of other humans. This is why gangs exist. If your mom is at work 2 full-time jobs, if your dad is away driving a truck to put food on the table and you only see him once a month, you as a human are going to go outside of the home and seek company, seek some sort of companionship, seek friendship, seek love. And the only people around there are other people who had the same idea 20 years before you, or realistically 40 years before you. And so it's the blind leading the blind leading the blind. So we eventually get to the point where it's gangs, and our gang is better than your gang. No, you're just humans looking for companionship. You're just humans looking for some friendship. You're humans looking for somebody to give you some sort of discipline too. Can you believe that? Gangs give discipline to their members? Well, of course, I'm sure you've already heard about how you join the gang. That's discipline. When you put it into actual layman's terms of what psychologically is going on, this is why we have this stuff going on. And these people are calling themselves gangsters, misnamed completely. The Italians were gangsters. You people are just rogues. Look, word for the day, rogue. Now, I'm going to finish off with this. Somebody asked me years ago, because I kept talking about cities. I kept talking about community. I kept talking about how to build up a community. I kept talking about what you need. Maybe I've never said this, but before I went to law school, I was in a master's of public administration with city planning. So when the person asked me to come and fix their city, and a group asked me to come and talk in their city, I said no. Why did I say no? Because I know if I go to a city and if I start, I'm not going to go to city council like Dr. Anderson. If I go to the city, I'm going to gather up either the largest black businessmen in the city. We're talking about black people that ask me to come to their black city. I'm going to either gather up the largest or most affluent businessmen in the city, or the families who care the most about the city, who have something, some money behind them. Now, let me ask you all, what do you think? If I went to your city that was ailing, that was ill, that was sick, and I started just taking whole city blocks and doing improvements and preaching, not preaching, but gathering the gangs and telling them what's what and how to think and what's really going on and why they're the way that they are, and start making a huge dent in crime. Do you know they have $1 million task force on the police force? If crime dropped to 0%, what would these people do in their little police departments when they have tanks and Uzis and helicopters and SWAT vehicles? What do you think they would do? They would say there is something wrong, right? Do you think the mayor would sit back and nobody started paying late fees on their banknotes and all that sort of stuff? What do you think they would do to me? All right, and we're gonna end right at 1 hour. I thought for sure, I thought about it, and I politely declined all of their requests. probably not the best idea. I mean, I got it. Probably could have made it a tour. You know, they said the one group said we're a group of wealthy, whatever, business people here in wherever they were from, and said, "Would you come and speak?" And I said no. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're closing down. It's been an hour. Yeah, they'd buy me. The mayor would buy me. The police would buy me. The muscle men would buy me. If I elevated the black community so that it is all affluent, I'd be gone. Thank you all for watching. Shakaama Live out.